Hi guys, Sandra here of the blog thesensiblemom.com, and today is day -7. So today started out pretty early, around 6:30 in the morning. One of the nurses woke me up. I was like sort of half awake already, and I was waiting. I kind of knew they were going to be waking me up because they had asked me last night if they wanted me to have the catheter placed last night or if I would prefer for them to wait until this morning. And if I did want them to wait until this morning, they would have to do it like around 6 a.m. So I was like, the later the better. I don't want him to have that in any earlier than he really has to. So around 6:30 they came in the room, and a nurse woke me up. I quickly got up and got ready, and then a couple other nurses came in, and so there were 3 nurses total. And I thought it was a good idea too for them to do it really early in the morning because David would be sleeping, and if they would have tried to do it while he was awake, it would not have gone over well. It would have been a lot harder. So actually, and beforehand, they had given him morphine and a drug called Ativan through his PICC line, so that to minimize the pain and to minimize the nausea. And um, so they placed the catheter, and of course that was kind of uncomfortable, and he did wake up and start crying, and but they got that in, and unfortunately I had to leave uh, the room and head to the bathroom, which is still like in the room, but because my body decided that it wanted to throw up. So I have issues where I have no control over it, but there have been times where, like twice, they were drawing blood or had drawn blood. Once when they were removing David's PICC line, and then today, this is the 4th time it happened, where I just started to get really queasy and just really like out of it. Like I know, like I need to get out of there fast and head to the bathroom. And so I did, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. I don't do well around blood. I don't look at things that I don't need to be looking at. I try to not to look. I don't even look when I get a poke. But anyway, that just happens, and I don't know why. And I wish my body would stop doing that. So anyway, David went back to sleep after it happened. He was pretty upset, but after he was stopped crying, he went back to bed, and he slept until about noontime. And actually by then he'd already had today's dose of chemotherapy, because after they placed the catheter a little while later, they gave him some more fluids. They bumped up his fluids, and they actually like added a second bag and really bumped that up. Because to prepare his body for the chemotherapy drug Cytoxin, which is what he received today. And so he received the chemotherapy drug while he slept, which was great. But I was a little concerned because I was like, well, how's he going to feel when he wakes up? Is he going to be nauseous? Is he going to, throw up? But in order to, try to hopefully, make it so that that didn't happen, they gave him another anti-nausea drug I think it's called Zofran, and so they gave him that, and then he'll be on that like every 6 hours throughout this, for the next 7 days, to hopefully keep any nausea and vomiting away. So when he woke up, he was actually in a pretty good mood, and he was doing really well. The biggest problem today was the catheter. That ended up causing a lot of pain and a lot of tears, and it was just really difficult. So one of the nurses, one of the special stem cell nurses, contacted the stem cell doctor this afternoon, like around 4 something, and she was like, "Can we take it out and just change his, either like he has to pee every 2 hours, or if he's like at nighttime when he's got a diaper, they have to change his diaper or pull up or whatever every 2 hours. Like, it's got to be done. And just because like the chemotherapy drug can, I guess, they need to make sure like his bladder is constantly drained so that it doesn't damage the inside of his bladder. And even though he's got a diaper on now, they had to put like this special cream so that when he pees or whatever, if he touches his skin, so it doesn't harm his skin. And then when I change his diaper, I have to wear gloves because of the chemotherapy drug that's going to be coming out of his body. So once the catheter was removed, things got better, and he pretty much has been doing pretty well. He has not been complaining of nausea at all. The only thing is that he looks a little bit paler, a little bit puffier, but other than that, he's been doing really well. Like with the chemotherapy that he received today, the biggest problem was the catheter. So another thing I wanted to talk about really quick in this video is exactly what a bone marrow transplant is, because a lot of people don't know what a bone marrow transplant is. And if you would have asked me what it was before this happened, I would have said, I thought like, it's probably when two people go into the operating room together, one person's receiving the bone marrow and one person is donating it, and they somehow get the bone marrow from, they extract it right out of the donor, and they, quickly put it right into the person who's receiving it. And this is like, right into their bones. But that's not how it happens at all. David's donor was actually somewhere, I think he's in the United States, but I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that he's in the military, and they're being very gracious and allowing him the time off to donate and everything. And so I'm assuming he's in the United States, but again, I'm not sure. What will happen is that he will go wherever he's at, and he will donate, or they'll harvest his marrow on December 10th, and someone will rush that marrow over here to where we are at in Illinois, and David will get that marrow on December 11th. And the marrow is actually, it's not a surgery at all. It's just like a blood transfusion, and it actually lasts, as far as I know, as far as I've been told, it'll take less, the transfusion will be, take less time than it is to even get platelets. Like for David, platelet transfusion is probably around 30 minutes to maybe 45 minutes. And blood is like 3.5 hours to like 4 hours, so that takes a lot longer. But the bone marrow transfusion is going to be like 20 minutes. So it's going to be pretty quick, and it'll be infused right through either his port in his chest or through his PICC line. So, and God has amazingly designed our bodies so that our bone marrow, so that when David receives this bone marrow, it finds its way into the middle of his bones. And Lord willing, we'll set up shop there and start working and engraft and begin producing red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets for David. And that's it. It's not a surgery at all. So it's just like a blood transfusion, and that is a bone marrow transplant. And then from there, of course, his immune system will be like completely wiped out by then. So from there, we just wait and see. He's having labs done every day right now, and he'll have labs, continue to have labs done every day then, so we'll know every day like where his platelets are at, his his hemoglobin's at, and where his like white blood cells are at, and where his ANC level is at. Today his hemoglobin was 9.5, which is low, but not transfusion low. His platelets were at 116. He had just gotten a transfusion like 2 days ago. And his ANC was, I think it was like 515, so that is low. And so that's pretty much it for today. Highlights, music therapy came by, and I wasn't sure how David was going to react to that, but he loved it. He had a blast, and it was really great to see him enjoying the different instruments and playing with the guitar and everything like that. That was great. And And then he got a bunch of new toys from Child Life. They had asked my husband Ruben, when he was with David one day in the infusion center, what David liked, what he was interested in, and he liked superheroes and things like that. So they brought over some superhero toys and some other things like art stuff and a blanket and just some really neat things for him. So that was really exciting. So we're letting him open that. I'm letting him open that little by little as incentives. As an incentive to take his medicine and to do his mouthwashes. He's got 3 medicines that he's on right now. He's got to do mouthwashes 4 times a day. He has to take a bath and or sponge bath twice a day. So there's a lot that goes into all of this. But that's pretty much it today. We'll see how tonight goes. And I will update again tomorrow.